Hello, darling. It's me, Tessianos, host of the ongoing comic book discussion podcast. And if I got a Halloween treat for you, this October I am hosting a horror comic marathon for 31 days. That's right, my frightful fiends. Every single day from October 1st to October 31st, OCD will review a horror comic to count down to the greatest holiday ever conjured. You can follow OCD on Instagram at OCD Podcast, Facebook at facebook.com/OCD Podcast, and Twitter at Ongoing Comic Pod. It's going to be a hauntingly good time, so be there or just be there. Ooh.
Hello and welcome back to Why This Film, the podcast where we reach back into your childhood, pluck out a movie, rewatch it, and have a chat about it. I'm Emily Slade, and welcome back.
You watched it so many times before, and now you're gonna watch it again. But it's been so many years since you last saw it, and now you show it to your friends, and they're like, "What?
What am I watching?
Why this film?"
And I'm joined today by Adam from the Double-Edged Double Bill podcast. Did I say that right?
Yeah, close enough. I'm not going to argue semantics.
It's exactly what it's called.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I don't listen to my own show, so I don't know.
Oh, are you like the celebrity that won't go to the premiere because they can't stand to see themselves on screen?
No, that's absolutely not true. I listen to every episode.
There we go. It's very exciting because your chosen movie today is 1984's The Last Starfighter, the IMDb breakdown. Video game expert Alex Rogan finds himself transported to another planet after conquering the Last Starfighter video game, only to find out it was just a test. He was recruited to join the team of best starfighters to defend their world from the attack. So what is your relationship with this movie?
Well, it came out, I think, almost a year to the day after I was born.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't see it until I was probably about 6, maybe 7. And I just remember absolutely falling in love with it at the time. I mean, it was scary when it needed to be, with some of the creatures. The effects were amazing. The makeup effects still hold up. I really just loved Grig and Centauri and all the, the oddball characters that Alex runs into. And it blew me away. The CGI, which nowadays is it's atrocious.
It's very, very bad.
Oh, it's bad. But back then, I'm like, oh my God, they're in space.
Yeah,
I completely bought into it. And it's such a sense of wonderment. It's just a sci-fi version of like the Never-Ending Story, where Never-Ending Story is more fantasy, where this kid gets sucked into it. And this is the sci-fi version of that.
That's such a good way of describing it. You're absolutely right, because this movie is in my subconscious for some reason. My dad had the book and I had it on my bedside table for years, like intending to read it, and I never did. And I've seen so many like video essays and breakdowns of stuff on YouTube where people use clips from this movie to make their points. And I've never known what the movie is or thought they were all from different movies. And it turns out they're all from this movie. And it seems to have such a following and such a standing, like the Never-Ending Story, as you said, that it's huge. And I never really sort of came to it properly. And I didn't know how I was going to feel. My God, it's so enjoyable. Like, it's like I have 0 notes because I just had a whale of a time. Like, I genuinely did. It's just, you're absolutely right to compare it to the Never-Ending Story, but like in space. It's just really hardcore fun, whilst kind of being original. There were moments in this movie that I was like, that's super awesome. I've never seen that anywhere else before. Like, amazing. Well done. Congrats to you. Whilst also being very much like, the hero's journey and blah, 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 blah. I thought all the practical effects were wonderful. All the characters were wonderful. CGI is trash, but like, hey, back then it was probably like mind-blowing. And I really liked the main character of Alex Rogan. I thought he was very watchable, very endearing, and just a really sweet character to follow, and like a great role model as such as well. Um, yeah, like I always thought this was a rip-off of Ender's Game, but Ender's Game was written the year after this movie came out, which is mental because I always think Ender's Game was written in like the 50s.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But it wasn't. I Googled it because I was like, let's just like confirm that it was a super big ripoff. Because I'm watching it and I'm like, this is fucking Ender's Game. But Ender's Game has such a status about it, whereas The Last Starfighter was always just sort of like pop culture-y in comparison, in my head anyway. And yet this came first, technically. And it's just a delightful little Sunday afternoon movie, just really fun. Like even my dad was like, "Oh, you watching The Last Starfighter? Yeah, I'll join you."
Excellent.
It's really good.
Yeah, I sat there with my wife and my 4-year-old, and my 4-year-old watched it. There was a couple times where she would cover her eyes, some of the alien designs and stuff, but
absolutely.
but no, she watched the whole thing, and we just had a blast.
Yeah.
And we kind of just went down this road and started watching family-friendly sci-fi movies that day, and just kept it going. And
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, this is absolutely it was such a huge, important movie during my childhood. There was like this, Flight of the Navigator, Never-Ending Story, movies like that. And this was always part of that sort of mix that sort of, I don't know that this movie is completely responsible, but it's got to at least be somewhat responsible for me growing up a sci-fi fan. I mean, it's definitely this, and of course, like, A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back and all that. But I definitely connected more with this one and even Flight of the Navigator than I did even those when I was a kid. Because I recognized the surroundings. You're able to put yourself in sort of this position as, you're on Earth. You see people that are dressed the same way you are and everything like that. So as a kid, it's you can more easily identify
100%.
maybe some of the characters. And but no, yeah, I absolutely love this movie. I remember being sad when Centauri, using air quotes, died.
Yeah.
I remember it bumming me out. I remember Griggs' laugh making me laugh all the time when I was a kid. I thought it was the silliest thing. Zur is still delightfully over the top. I love him in that scepter, and why they just let him have it all the time. Like it's got a giant fucking sword in it. Don't give it to him. But yeah, I absolutely adore this movie, and I think it does have sort of the status that you alluded to, where it's sort of a pop culture sort of thing. But I think that might be not giving it the credit it deserves. I'm not saying you did that. I think that's just sort of its place in film, especially in 80s cinema. But I think it's a lot better than that.
I honestly agree. Like that's sort of where it was in my head, but it's genuinely so good. It's just like a really good movie as well, and then a really good story on top of that. It's great sci-fi. Like they would fuck it up if they tried to do it today. They really would. And like, and I don't think it's because it has to be set in the 80s. They just don't trust themselves to make simple stories anymore. Everything has to be more complicated than it is. And I really loved it. I really loved how there was the like B at the like better Alex, the like B version.
Yeah.
He basically has a robot made of him by the planet that he goes to. I'm not going to know any of the names of anything, by the way, so I apologize in advance. And it's wonderful. It like starts off where that there's something in his covers in Earth after he's been whisked away to this planet, and you're like, oh, okay, they've sent like a dummy down or something, and it sort of interacts with some of the characters on Earth still, and it's like really good build up and tension, and then you see it for the first time, and it's still forming itself into a version of Alex, and it's fucking terrifying.
Terrifying.
Like, so scary. It's like baby Voldemort meets like
Like
the
one of the dudes from Prometheus.
yeah, and with a bit of the like fucking man from Pan's Labyrinth with the
Yeah,
eyes.
yeah.
Like it's just horrifying and it's wonderful. Because you don't know whether to feel threatened or not as well, because it's still a mystery. You're like, what the
Hmm.
fuck is this thing? Is it like safe? Can we touch it? I don't want it. It's like oozing and it's gross. But then the next time we see it, it's a fully formed Alex Rogan part two that's meant
Yeah,
to
he's
sort
kind of
of.
a doofus.
I love it so much, and it means that the actor gets to play these two different characters, but the same character, and he does the distinctions so well. And it's just a really fun little subplot to have back down on Earth whilst we're having the main subplot up in the space planet. I just thought it was really inspired, and I don't know if it's been done before. It probably has because nothing's original, but I was just really like, this is really engaging. This is making me care. Like it's very clever because if you care about the main character and then you put the main character in both subplots, you care about both subplots. So I wasn't like, oh, get back to the space station. I was like, oh, cool, we're hanging out with like Alex Rogan part two,
Yeah,
down
I
on Earth.
agree. I agree. And he's got, the other aliens hunting him the whole time. And
Hmm.
like,
And they
yeah,
don't push
there's
it.
stakes. Yeah, but there's genuine stakes there too. Because,
Yeah.
if he gets found out, then they're going to know that the real Alex is still alive in space. And then that's going to,
Mhm.
mess with that sort of plot device or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah, they don't force it down your throat.
No.
Um, and it's kind of funny. It's kind of charming, like the way his interactions with the girlfriend, with Maggie, and with his little brother and things like that. Like
Yeah.
it's got a real sort of heart to it. The whole movie. That's what I love about it. The whole movie has a genuine sense of heart and whimsy to it.
It really, really does, which I never expect to find in sci-fi because I'm a snob and I love fantasy and I'm like, it's better. And then it really surprised me. It felt so, as you say, charming, just like really imaginative moments where Alex is like fixing his head. So he's like taking his like robot head off and he's like fixing it. And his little brother's like, Alex, what are you doing? And he just has this conversation with the head on the desk, and I thought that was really clever and cute. I loved the whole bits with Maggie, the girlfriend, because I get so scared when I watch old movies with like girlfriends in them, and I'm
Hmm.
like, how are you gonna fuck up feminism for me then? Go on. But they kind of don't. She's a really good character. She's everything she does is thought out. She's not once treated like an idiot or acts like an idiot. I mean, apart from the very, very end bit where I was like, Han, what if you break up in like a month? Like, you're
Yeah,
fucking
that's true.
retarded.
That I thought of that too. Like, you better hope this is real. Like, for
Yeah.
God's sakes.
But I forgave it because I was like, you know what? Like, the arc is complete with that happening. So basically, what happens, if you haven't seen the movie, spoiler alert, obviously, is that really cool ending. The whole sort of arc is leading to him really desperate to leave this part of America and this trailer park that he's grown up in, and he's insistent on taking his girlfriend Maggie with him, and he's trying to get into all these universities, and it's not happening, and um he's just really down on his luck but desperate to leave. So at the very end, he realizes he's got a full-time job in space, fighting aliens. So he's like, and they're like, do you want to do this for realsies forever? And at the time I was watching it like, oh, like obviously he'll say no because we all come back to Earth and continue our lives after we've had these glorious adventures. So it was absolutely thrilling for him to be like, sure, yeah, I'll
Yeah, right.
stay in space. And I was like, badass. And then he comes down and he's like, Maggie, I've literally only come down to say goodbye to everyone and to take you with me. And she's very sensibly like, I don't know, man. Like, it's fucking space. And like, I've barely left this trailer park. So I don't know how I feel about that. But then at the very end, she changes her mind and slow-mo runs up the stairs to the rocket ship or whatever. And yeah, I was just like, fingers crossed, like you can make a happy life without him
Yeah.
on the planet, which I'm sure you can. Like, I have enough faith in this world that they've built in this story that if they were to break, I mean, I'm taking it very seriously now, but like if they were to break up in like a month's time, I have faith that she would be able to like find something that she's good at and pursue it, or like find other people to hang out with and like like it will be fine. She's not just his like pet that he's like taken with her to be like, and this is my girlfriend, she can stay here in the base while I go fight aliens or whatever. Because if it is just that, I'll be very annoyed. But yeah, it was really fucking cool that they left Earth and went with the aliens to continue this sort of job.
To like restart the Federation or rebuild.
And it makes so much sense because he's proven himself so many times that he's worthy of this cause and that it's a job that he'd be really good at, which is just really wonderful as well, where it's like, hey, you know, for kids, it's like, hey, jobs you're good at and that you really enjoy may turn up in the most unlikely of places. And if you just pursue things that you really, really enjoy and are good at, good things will come to you because of it. And it's like, fuck yeah, I'll fucking spend all day doing video games and it'll work out fine for me. Hell yeah.
Absolutely. If like the real life Resident Evil ever pops off, I'm gonna be set. But no, I do agree with you. And plus, like even the part to where he runs off and gets in the truck to chase the alien, he's like, stay here. She's like, no, fuck that, I'm going with you. Yeah. Like she still goes. Like she is a strong sort of female lead. They even show her slap him because he made a comment she didn't like. That, you know, she withholds from him, or not necessarily withholds, but like she's not just there for sexual reasons and then
she's
sort of the fairy tale ending. Like she's fleshed out.
They've given her character, and some of the character is quite stereotypical, but you know, it's like an hour and a half long movie, and from 1984, like I can't expect perfection, but like for what it is, they do a really good job with her, I think. Really, and I really love the way that she gets to interact with both Alexes. That's really cool.
Yeah, I agree too. It's definitely it's sort of, I'm trying to think of another movie like Masters of the Universe with Courtney Cox, who was there for no reason. At least this one has some weight to it.
Yeah, and you feel like she's got her own life too. Like,
and they even give her, like at the end, they give her fears and stuff, where she's like, I am scared to leave this place. I don't know what's out there. You know, why don't you stay here? Like she doesn't want to go.
I thought that was brilliant. That was so human. That was so like. Because she so easily could have batted her eyelids and been like, okay, that sounds like a great idea. But instead she was like, fucking no, you're right, I am scared. Like, fuck that. Like, this is terrifying. But she does it anyway, which is like really super brave and amazing. And it's so good. Yay.
But it is, I mean, at its core, the idea of it is absolutely terrifying. To leave everything you know to go up in space with your high school sweetheart, basically.
Yeah. Fingers crossed that everything's gonna work out.
Right, exactly. That's funny. But you know, they give you the ending you want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to see them go off together. You want to see him, which, like you said earlier, how fucking cool that he's like, yeah, all right, I'll stay.
Yeah.
Like you never see that. Like you said, they always return to Earth, and then they use the skills they learned to combat sort of problems they had before, like to beat the bully or to quit their job or some shit.
It's true.
He decides to stay and basically restart this whole resistance movement, which is insane, but it's so awesome. And I'm so glad it went that way, because that's what endears the movie to me, anyways, as an older, you know, sort of viewer, and where it's no other movie like this ends like that.
Yeah.
Like at the end of Never Ending Story, Sebastian doesn't stay. You know, he goes back to the real world. You know, I think in the second one, well, good Lord, but still.
Oh yeah, no, no.
Yeah, they cocked that franchise right up. But yeah, you don't see this ending like ever.
Literally not once. You're absolutely right. They always have to use it to come back and like do some bullshit back on Earth. Like he would have come back down and like left the trailer park, and the last shot would have been him and Maggie in the car waving goodbye to everyone, being like, we're off to start our new lives. We're gonna go like make computer games for kids together in like Hawaii. Okay, bye. And instead he was like, wanna come to space? And she was like, all right.
Yeah, he would have punched out the guy in the cowboy hat or
Yeah,
something, or
yeah.
use some
Yeah.
alien technology to light the whole trailer park forever. So
I'm so glad that that like wasn't a thing, because like fucking hate 80s film bullies.
oh, they're the worst.
Like they're
They're the
so
worst, yet
fucking
they're so funny too because
bad.
it's so dumb.
This
It's
is the
so
thing. Like the people that bullied me also could be like really nice people, and they were often very intelligent people, and like people have layers, man. The 80s bullies are like, "What's up? I'm a dickhead." And you're
really
like,
100%, 100% 80s bullies. Yeah, don't
"Yeah,
touch my car. Your
yeah,
mom's
yeah,
hot.
yeah,
Give me your lunch. You're like, what the hell? Like, yeah, no, they're just the worst. And you ever
literally."
notice how 90% of them are really big, like heavy people? Like
Yeah.
that's not how it works.
No, no. It's the short people that bully
Yeah,
people.
right.
They're like insecure or whatever.
Yeah, or jocks who are, secretly homosexual or something.
Yeah.
Not just the big fat guys with the mohawks. Yeah, 80s bullies, it's such a funny cliche stereotype. And the
Mhm.
thing is, like, even the guy in this, the guy with the cowboy hat, he's not really a total bully. He's just
No.
kind of a dick.
Yeah.
He's just a little bit of a dick. But then again, when his friends come to pick Alex up in the very beginning to go to the beach, they're all being sort of passive aggressive dicks to him.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, you're gonna finally go off on a great adventure. Oh,
And
and
it
it's
makes
like,
sense because you
yeah,
know that that's stemming from a place of like you're all trapped here in this
and I'm
like bullshit place.
sure it's all
And
he
like
talks about too.
yeah, 100%.
Hmm.
Um so yeah, it really wasn't too bad. When they first pulled up, I was like, ugh, here we go.
I swear to God, because I haven't seen this in quite a while, and I don't, I didn't remember a lot of it. But as soon as that truck pulled up, I'm like, oh yeah, all right,
Yeah.
here we go. Here's the bully one. Which one's gonna get handsy with Maggie and
Yeah.
have to beat up, which yet never happens, thankfully.
Yeah. So good. So good. Who is the like lizard man? The like rock looking, he looks like the
Part-
Thing from Fantastic Four.
His partner,
Yeah.
yeah, that's Greg.
He's brilliant.
Yeah, he's great. That's Dan O'Hurley
Mm.
from RoboCop and Halloween 3. Ton of movies, ton of movies. He's absolutely fantastic.
Just so much fun. You just really get the sense of like a person that's lived their life and is still living their life, and just really down to earth, grounded characters. Like even Centauri, who is like a maniac.
Yeah, like a shyster. He's sort of like maybe even like a con artist a little bit. He's got a
Yeah.
sort of reputation and everything, and they do it perfectly in just a couple interactions he has with other characters. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
same with Greg. The reason it's so well done is that they have their 2 to 3 minute conversation in the cockpit of the ship where Greg explains that he's got a wife and 70 something children in their cave on his planet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all you really need, but it's enough.
Yeah, it's enough to like flesh this person out to be someone that like we care about and we relate to, and like yeah, just throwaway line, but you get the sense of this world that they all live in, and it makes you care for it and care for Alex's quest, because it could be so easily badly done where you're just like, why should I care about these space people? They have
Oh,
nothing to do with me or my life or my planet.
that's another thing that I really love about this movie too. It wasn't like, well, Earth is next. So
Mm,
no, they're like, Earth is not even on their radar. We weren't
yeah.
even supposed to go there. So really, the outcome of this battle would have no effect on him and his way of life.
Yeah.
And I thought
Which
that
is
was really cool that they didn't make the stakes to where he has to save his own planet.
yeah, so good. So good. And I yeah, oh God, what was I gonna say? Yeah, no, I really love how he brings him up and everyone's like, sorry, he's from Earth. That like what the fuck is he doing here? He's not meant to be here, which is so much cooler. It sort of gives them the pass of being like, why has this never happened before? Why is this the first time we're hearing about it? Why has no one on Earth
Hmm.
reported it before? Like, You know, blah 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 blah. It like it like covers up all those things that you're not really thinking while you're watching the movie, but like afterwards you're like, oh, clever. Like it immediately gives them a free pass of like, now it's up to you if you want to stay. Now that you know it exists, it's completely in your hands. We're not forcing you to do anything because you're not even really meant to be here. It's very clever, very cleverly thought out.
Oh, I definitely agree. But that was also the smart thing to do with having him when he did go home, and that those aliens would constantly be hunting him.
Mm-hmm.
So it really sort of puts him against the wall. But yeah, like you said, it's very, very smart to where it's just not going to be based on the sort of the moral compass of his character, whether or not he stays.
Yeah.
It's not for any sort of selfish reasons at all. It's not to protect everyone he loves or to gain any sort of fame or riches. It's just, hey, all of these people are going to die, across the galaxy. Well, not people, but all these different species, are potentially going to be wiped out by this madman, and you might be the only person who can save them all. So what do you want to do? You want to go back home, or do you want to stay and help us?
Do you want to stay and help? Please help.
Right, exactly. And I love that Greg is constantly testing him too.
Yeah.
Constantly. He's like, you're right. Maybe you're not the last Starfighter. I thought there was a Starfighter in you, but I guess not. Okay, we'll take you home. And he kept doing it. It was so fun. The whole movie's a test for Alex.
Yeah, in the best way possible, and it's so watchable. The villain is so bloody good.
Delightfully over the top, isn't he?
So good.
When you first see him on like the giant hologram screen or whatever you call it, and he's maniacally laughing.
Yeah.
You're like, this is so ridiculous. And of course, he's the son of the head of the Federation.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
At all.
Oh,
it's
man.
so great.
So good. Like, what a great look. Like, I've seen that clip so many times as well. And then he fucking melts someone's brain.
Graphically too.
What?
Like, it's only on screen for like a couple seconds, like the after effect, but it's graphic.
Yeah.
There's yellow and red and orange all running down from the top of his head. I'm watching, I went, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember this.
Which is insane, because I was going to say, like, it was happening, and I turned to my dad to be like, what in the actual fuck is going on? And he was like, oh, yeah, this, like, terrified people in the cinema back in the day. Like, this is super, and it is super fucking graphic for what I assume is, like, yeah, it's a PG. And I was going to say, did it stay with you? Did it leave a lasting impression? Is it up there with Gamork? Like, nightmare fodder?
No, that part really didn't for some reason. The parts that stuck with me is one, the beta turning into Alex with the moaning and the sort of like translucent skin and the bulging eyes. And then Centauri taking his face off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Oh man, it's horrible.
Absolutely terrified me. And then the way the robots, well, I don't know what the robot, but like the main villain army, how some of them are, I think, cyborgs from the way they talk and stuff. And then when all the power goes out, how they all shut down. For some reason, I just remembered that as a kid. And it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, that's fair. I understand that.
Now it's like, yeah, the melting brain thing. Good Lord. I'm like watching it. And my kid sat next to me. I'm like, oh, no. Oh, no. And then luckily she turned to look at something right when it showed the final shot. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
How am I going to explain this? It's just a movie, honey.
Yeah, it can't hurt you.
But no, he's delightfully wonderful. And I love that they give him sort of where, he's all cocky on the bridge of that ship, and he's bossing them around, and he's got that scepter with the sword in it that he will show you several times. But that the other aliens are like, fuck this guy. They all hate him. I love that sort of dynamic where he's just so this cocky, sniveling prick.
Yeah.
And then these other aliens are like, dude, fuck this guy.
He's the worst.
I know. Ugh.
Like, he's almost the sort of jock character, if you will. He's the, like, really just unnecessarily dickish douchebag that's just wandering around being an idiot, and everyone's like,
Right.
fucking hate this guy.
Or he's like the director of the local theater production. Where, he's been in like one thing his entire life, like one commercial. So
Yeah.
he just knows everything about art and theater, and he's just a fucking prick. Zero real world experience.
Yeah, you like a fucking
Like
Trump
a
child.
rich, yeah, right, exactly. He's like Eric Trump. He's just this rich, entitled prick who's never had to work for anything in his life, and then he gets this armada because he knows where the Starfighter base is or whatever. And now all these other guys who have been in the trenches their whole lives got to listen to this fucking weasel. It's driving them nuts, you can tell.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, and I thought it was really smart to have the main bad guy, just even the character interaction where he's the son of the head of the Federation, but to have him stand out so differently to all the other aliens as far as in look and design and everything, because all the other ones sort of blend together a little bit.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, maybe just by design of their makeup, where they have almost like the wooden reptilian sort of skin. But he, here's this pale fuck, with this flashy wardrobe, just basically strutting around the entire movie. And it's wonderful.
Yeah,
it's absolutely wonderful.
It's so enjoyable to watch, like proper old-fashioned bad guy.
Yeah, he's literally, you just said it the best. He's classic bad guy.
Yeah.
Like just mustache twirling, so evil.
Yeah.
Where like the idea, it always kills me in these type of movies where the main villain will kill his henchmen indiscriminately. And you're like, why would he be in charge of anything then? All the other people would kill him out of fear.
Yeah, literally.
And he's that villain, 100%. And where he'll slap his girlfriend because she disagrees with him in front of everyone, just to prove it. It's just, he's fantastic, and the actor is fantastic in the part too. He's so over the top.
Good, so good. Like the perfect energy and pitch for this type of movie.
Yeah.
Some of the alien designs are fucking disgusting. Like, what is that, like, butt-faced thing that comes down to Earth and keeps, like, getting in the backs of people's cars and, like, trying to eat? Like, it looks like a really scary episode of Doctor Who.
The one that's hunting Alex?
Yeah.
Or the bait or whatever. Yeah, I forget the race now. But yeah, that's just the rate where they can, they're shapeshifters, basically. Yeah, that thing scared the piss out of me too, actually, when I was a kid.
Horrible. It's like a really ugly like fish, but that's been mutated with a human and like a butt. Like, it's horrible.
Yeah, right. It is a human butt fish. But no, I agree. Like, especially when it's on top of the roof.
Ugh.
And it's like tries to pull the
Alex
up. That's so terrifying.
So scary. Like, really good moments of like horror in this movie, as you said, when Centauri, where they go into like the blackness of space and everything's getting a bit creepy and the music's like dun 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 dun, and Alex Rogan's like, WTF, mates? And he like goes to be like, Centauri, what's happening? And he like turns to him and it's like face is horrible and you're like, fuck.
I know. And he's got like the eyes in the napkin and stuff, and you're like, what the fuck is this? I just love at the end though, and he's like, I know an old friend of yours wants to say hello, and out walks the alien Centauri, and it like puts the cloth up to its face, and they cut away and they go back, and it's like completely done. His hair's there. It's completely different body. Like it's some of the stuff in this. Like the makeup effects and everything are great, but some of the stuff, it's so cheesily edited and cut in places.
Yeah.
But it just adds to it so much.
Yeah.
To where this is literally a dial turn away from being like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 sort of thought movie. It could easily just be a cheesy movie. And maybe to some people it is, but I think you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who either hasn't seen this or someone who did see it in their childhood who doesn't at least have some love for it. I don't know many people who are like, oh no, fuck The Last Starfighter.
Yeah, I can't imagine why you would. It's so harmless and so endearing. I couldn't understand it unless you genuinely like. I don't even really care for sci-fi, but with this one I was like, this is great. This is really fun. This is really cool. It's like keeping me on my toes. Like when Centauri takes his face off, I was suddenly like, oh no, is he the evil person? Are we in danger here? And so many points where that was happening, where I was like, like not really sure where it was gonna go, which is really impressive for a 1980s sci-fi movie, because like they're all the fucking same, really.
Yeah, they do sort of blend together after a while. I mean, there are some gems in there, but yeah, for sure. I don't know. I haven't read the book, so I don't know how faithful this is to the source material.
I don't know if it's a book based on the movie or a movie that was based on the book. I think the movie came first, to be fair.
I think you might be right. You might be right. But it's just the movie came first?
Yes, movie came first.
Oh wow. See, I didn't know that. But no, I agree with you. It's completely harmless, this movie. It's just fun, it's exciting. There is some stakes, there's good character development. There's a gleefully over the top villain. There's great makeup effects, especially with Greg. Greg's makeup is wonderful. The CGI is really bad, but in a funny way now.
In a really charming way. It's like Tron.
Yeah, it's bad, but it's really funny.
It's like I did it on Microsoft Paint, like.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's like PlayStation 1 cutscene graphics, like probably even worse than that. But yeah, it's all comes together in such a nice sort of charming time capsule of a movie. Like you could not make this movie at any other point with any other crew, any other actors, anything than this. This is lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, it's so true. And if all that wasn't enough, there's an off-Broadway musical adaptation.
What?
There's a musical.
Oh no, I have got to look this up.
So in New York City in October 2004, Storm Theatre off Broadway wrote the music and lyrics by Skip Kennan and book by Fred Lando, the Last Starfighter musical. The original cast recording was released on the Kritzerland label, so you can go and listen to the music of that. I'd be fascinated to know how much synth is in there.
You know what I'm doing as soon as here.
Please let me know what it's like. I probably will be looking it up too, because what the hell, that sounds amazing.
That sounds fantastic.
And then there was a novelization. There's been comics, Marvel comics, games, video games, arcade games, home computer and console games. So it seems to be just really beloved and understandably so. And I'm not even offended by, I mean, it's not my childhood movie, but I'm not offended by the amount of things that it's trying to do, because it's it's great. More
oh yeah, I mean, as a 6, when I said, I think I was 6 or 7, maybe even younger, I'm not sure, when I first saw this, and it blew me away.
Yeah,
absolutely blew my mind. It's, I'm not going to put it on the level of when a 5 or 6-year-old saw Star Wars, because I think I was around that age when I saw that as well. But at that age, it's comparable. Yeah. It's just a sense of excitement and wonderment, and because you don't even think of it to put it in subgenres as a kid of sci-fi or fantasy.
Yeah.
It's all a fantasy. In a way, it's just broken up into subgenres. But yeah, it's just. You as a kid, you want to be Alex. Hell, you even want to be Alex's little brother. So, whatever. You just want to be part of this universe. And it's absolutely wonderful. It's just fantastic, good-hearted escapism, especially for, maybe parents my age who grew up with the movie who might have kids now to show it to them.
Yeah.
And see what they think. I mean, older kids are going to notice the CGI being bad. I mean, there's especially if they have video games that look better than even the live action parts of this movie do.
Yeah.
But it's definitely one of those that I think if your kids are able to sort of suspend disbelief, you could have a bonding experience.
Oh, 100%. It really does hold up. And I think it is a wonderful family movie, as you've proven.
Yeah, I absolutely adore it.
Nice. Yay, that sums it up really nicely. Like, I'm kind of sorry that I couldn't come here and be like, I hated it. Let's debate.
No, I'm glad. I'm really glad that you didn't, because on my own show, I get that all the time. But no, I'm absolutely glad you loved it. When you said the format of your show, this was the first one that popped in there. Now, is it necessarily my favorite childhood movie? Maybe not, but it's in my top 3, and it's the one that I was most eager to revisit.
Yeah, it's a nice hidden little gem. Like, I really feel my format does give the opportunity for you to revisit those ones that you didn't take with you into adulthood. Like, we all grew up with Toy Story 2. We all know Toy Story 2 is good. But how did you feel about the Pebble and the Penguin? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
right, absolutely.
You want to really deep dive. But great segue. Speaking of your podcast, tell us about your podcast.
I'm part of the Double-Edged Double Bill podcast with your former guest, Thomas Mariani. It's mine and his show. We are part of the ESO network. Basically, what we do is every week we have a sort of theme. Like this week, we're doing Westerns. And so the idea would be one of us comes to the table with a good movie, one of us comes to the table with a bad movie. And through a little game show thing we play, the choices get made, and then we review one good, one bad movie related to the theme every week. We've been going for a little over 2 years now.
Nice.
Yeah, weekly. We haven't missed a week. I've had
Amazing.
to miss 1 or 2 weeks because of family stuff, but it's been every week there's been an episode. But yeah, we just started our own Patreon too, which is it's DEDB Pod on Patreon, and all we ask for is $1 a month. That's it. And then you get every month there's an exclusive episode. Like we just recorded our retrospective on the entire Watchmen series from HBO.
Wow.
And then there's also going to be polls. You can vote on a theme. You can vote on what movie gets chosen, all of that type of stuff. And yeah, it's only $1 a month for all that content.
Amazing. So good. Such a great deal. I had a real good time when I came on your podcast. We did family feature films, and it was so much fun to just shit
it was a
on.
blast. Cat in a hat. What
Cat
the
in
fuck?
Fucking hat.
Dude, think of it like this. If you're doing this show for a long time, what if you find a guest and that's the one they want to pick?
Well, as I said in the episode, like, I know people that enjoyed it, and like I'm just waiting for one of them to turn around and be like, you know what? And to be honest, I welcome it. I welcome the opportunity to find enjoyment out of something that I think nearly made me burn my eyes out with acid. Like,
you're gonna have to go hard on them if they pick it, though. You're gonna really have to lay into it.
I'll have to like rewatch it for one, which like I might have to take it in breaks. I don't know.
Yeah. Take Valium.
I'll see. If you want to come on and do Cat in the Hat, anyone, like, just give me enough warning so I can get enough drugs in. But thank you so much for coming on this podcast. And yeah, this was such a joy to watch. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was a blast to be here.
Yay, you're absolutely welcome. And we'll see you next time on Why This Film. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. If you're enjoying Why This Film, why not head to iTunes and leave us a review? You can find us on Facebook at Why This Film Podcast, on Twitter at Why This Film Pod, and on Instagram at Why This Film Podcast. If you'd like to support the show, we are on Patreon at patreon.com/whythisfilmpodcast. You can support us as a member from £3 a month, or just donate any amount you see fit towards the running of the podcast. There's so much that I'd love to do, and so much further that I'd like to go. So your support really does mean everything to me. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.